Chapter 12. The heavens and the earth are to open, and there are to be rains as never seen before. The Almighty has said the world will never again end through flood, and this is correct. But this does not mean vast areas cannot be destroyed in this way. Many lands are to be buried beneath the waters as mountains move and the lands are hidden from sight. The world will see huge changes to the landscapes of many countries as part of them are to disappear and other places once thought lost forever are to reappear. Many people will be lost, and so will civilization in those areas as you know it today. Much of the land to go now, and other bits to come back that were once lost to you all. The waters and seas of the world are to change as in the blink of an eye, and none of this will be expected by anyone until it occurs. It is to take all by surprise. The lands of ancient times are to come back in some places, but not all. Not whole areas are to be destroyed in some of these countries, just parts of them. Some of this you have been told before, but there is more to come than you expect. People have ridiculed those who told them of those things to come in distant past times, but all now to happen as foretold in ancient times. Lands and seas are to be affected, and the rains to be continuous in areas that have never seen rain before, which is to cause flooding in places that least expected to ever see flooding in their lifetime. Vegetation is to grow in places where none used to grow, and others will cease to fruit where once it grew in abundance. Roles are to be reversed as these changes take place. The world spins on its axis as all this takes place. None of you will be aware of these changes to come until it all happens. Not all of this is to happen in your lifetime, but much is to start. The world as you know it now is to be very different in years to come as all these changes start to take place. We warned you, and now, even if all of you were to listen, it would still be too late. The damage is already done. Some of this damage has been done by man unleashing dangers into your world by playing with things they had no right to play with, playing under the guise of being important and a need to want to be something they will never be. Their work in this is to play a big part in what comes in the future. Others have brought this about by the way they live. Badness and a lack of care for nature is what's making this result in tragedy for the world. Untold damages have been done by many who have destroyed the planets they were given to live on. Some cared not for anything of nature, as all they cared about was themselves. Some of this world are innocent in all of this, but the worst of all are the leaders of the world. It is they who have known all along some of the damage that was occurring, but their greed and a want for power is what pushed them and led them into this path. They are to blame for a lot of what they have allowed the people to do, and they too will be punished along with the rest who have done wrong, as they have to pay for allowing damage to be done to that which was entrusted to their care. The world leaders are to be changed one by one as illness and hardships befall them. Those who once thought of themselves as great will now be looked at by their people as the guilt of what they have brought upon you all becomes clear. There is one leader of your world who was aware of these things many years before others talked of these things. He was ridiculed by many, and now he is being seen as someone who led the way in looking after and caring for the planet entrusted to you. Many will now start to look up to him for leadership in these matters as he is asked for advice. But it's too late. The damage is already done. You fools, you should have all listened while there was still a chance. But this was written in the books that this had to be. It was written long before you came to exist, as you are now, that you would bring destruction upon yourselves. You have no one else to blame except yourselves. Some, as we say, are innocent of these crimes against the planet, but many others are not. Fires are to ravage parts of the land in some countries, and already you have seen great fires in country where one would not expect to see them. But you're also to start seeing this happen in places where you would least expect. Things are to change as roles are reversed in some countries. Not all will change, but many will. Heat, cold, wet and dry will all start to reverse as time goes on. The start of this has been seen in some places already, but only in small doses. As time goes on, more of this is to be seen and will become far more obvious. These changes are all to take place over many years indeed. Some of you will be responsible for saving some of it, but much cannot be saved, as it's too late to save some. Many will perish and die. Already you see this happening in countries where it's easy for you to ignore, as it affects you not. This now is to change, and the ones who suffered in silence in those countries are now to see some relief from their agonies, while others in different parts of the world least affected by these things will now see this happening to them instead. Not yet a while, and maybe not quite in time, for some of you are here now to see, but others who are much younger will live to see these changes start to occur. Your children are to suffer for what you and generations before you have done. The worst are the ones now, for they are the ones who brought much of this about by their greed. Those who went well before you were less greedy, as their needs were not so much as yours. No one now wishes to do without, and they all want it all. It is this that has brought about such devastation in the world. First the badness, then the disasters. Already it starts. Each day now you read of more and more that has come to pass, people doing bad things to other people. Even children now are affected and doing things only adults should know about. Why is this happening, you ask yourselves? Look at your televisions, look at your papers and magazines. The world is obsessed with violence as well as greed, and you have bred a generation of people who are obsessed with these things. No longer can they tell reality from unreality as they blend the two together. You have done this to your children. You are the guilty ones who have allowed this into your homes and children's minds. You blamed those who make these things and tell these stories, but it is you who allows it into your home. The blame lies with you, and yet so many of you try to cast the blame elsewhere. You blame the councils, the teachers, the governments, and yet it is you. Look to yourselves, as you were the ones entrusted with the lives of your own children, and it is you who have let them down and allowed them to become as this. In fact, you encouraged it. You were too busy with your lives and ignored your children. You have been happy to hide them away and occupy them while you were left to do as you please. You too are to be punished as those others we have mentioned before. So many of you to be punished and repaid for all you have done wrong. Change your ways now if you wish to redress the situation. For some of you it is too late. For others there is still some time left, as your children are still young.